Hi, welcome into the TechHub.training solution video for the challenge User Form Fun. First things first, we need to open up our Excel spreadsheet. Now, when you first downloaded it, you may have had issues with it being a macro-enabled workbook, and you might have gotten a security risk. So in order to forego that, you have to close out of it. You right-click on the file, hit Properties, and then you hit Unblock right there. Hit Apply. And you are now able to enable the macro content. This here is the customer database that Emma has provided us that she uses for her company. And we are tasked with adding some to create a user form to make it easier for her to add more customers into this database. You'll notice this add new customer data. This is a button that at the end we should be able to click and the user form will pop up. So first things we have to do is we have to look at our user form. In order to do that, we open up Visual Basic window in Developer. And to look at the form, we need to double click on the user form customer info. Now, you'll notice that there's no place to type in the various customer info. So in order to do this, we need to open up our toolbox. Here it is. There are a variety of tools to use in our user forms to make them very extensive, but basically for this one, we just need to add some text boxes. And we can just drag it along. It looks like that. And then, in fact, we can just copy and paste it all the way down. In fact, I want to move that one up just one, make it a little bit better. It also makes sure that when we tab through the different fields while we're typing it out, it goes to the next box. However, if for whatever reason we had swapped the city and the state boxes, we would be able to change that behavior down here in the properties box. To add, if you don't see the properties box, you can add it by going to the view and then the properties window right here, or you can hit F4. To change the tab order, you would have to change this tab index. So the first one we have is tab index 10. Then the next one is 11, 12. So that just means whenever you hit tab or enter in the user form, it goes to the next box. Also, a good practice is to name our boxes. You'll notice that the provided labels for first name, last name, street address, etc. have been named label, last name, label, address, etc. Likewise, we would want to change the name of our text boxes. And best practice is to keep a description, a brief description, abbreviated description of what the actual property is. So these are text boxes, so we'd want to say this is text. So that way it's easier to reference this in our VBA code. So we would do text last name all the way down. Now, we also have these two buttons here at the bottom. And the idea is whenever Emma hits this button, it will take all the information in the fields that she's filled out and add it to the Excel sheet. So in order to write VBA code that affects this button, what we do is we click it and we double click it. And then this will pop up. You'll notice that this is private sub command add to list _ click. This means is that the command add to list is what this button is called, command add to list. The _ click means when it's clicked, anything right here in this sub should run. And we have some headers. So first we need to check the required fields. We need to find the last row with data, change the formatting so that it comes up as text, paste values from the form, and then clear the form. These are the requirements given to us by Emma. We also have this other routine called reset, which is the other button here. So that way, if while she's typing it out, she messes something up or she doesn't want to add it, she can just hit the reset and it should clear everything. So we go back to here and we need to fill this out. All right, so here is what we have with it all filled out. We'll go through it one step at a time. So first thing we needed to do was to check to make sure that all the required fields are filled out. On our form, the 4 fields with asterisks are required: first name, last name, phone number, email. And so what we're doing, it's very simple. To reference the user form, you have to do this me dot, and then you can just reference the field name like we did earlier. So the text first name is the text box, the value, and as long as it's not blank, or the last name isn't blank, or the phone isn't blank, or the email isn't blank, then you're okay. But if any of them are blank, a message box pops up saying, please fill in all the required fields, and then it'll start over. But if all the required fields are filled out, then it should move on to finding the last row with data. This is very simple. We just find the last row by counting all of the, essentially we're telling the code to start in the first cell, highlight all of the cells. That's what this is doing right here. And then count those. And then that's the last row. So that way, when we reference last row, our variable, we add 1, so that is into the next empty row. Next, we have to check to make sure that the zip code and the phone, 6 and 7, fields are read in as text, because we do not want any fields that start with a 0 or anything like that to be missing. So in order to do that, it's pretty simple. We just take, this is the cell that we want, and we're going to make sure that anything that's put into that cell is read in as text. This symbol right here is just for this dot number format, and it means it's text format. Simple. Now to paste the values, it's like any other VBA when you're pasting. You start with the left, so the cell we want to paste into, this needs to be, well, we're going to set this equal to the value that is in our text box first name. So our 1, 1 will be row 1. So last row is right here, plus 1 will be this row, column 1 will be our first name. And we do that for each of the columns. And we have to make sure you hit this dot value. Finally, to clear the form, we take all of these values and then set them equal to null, to blanks. And it's nice and easy because we can actually just take this portion and copy and paste it into this routine for the reset button. So now that we have all of this written out, we still need to do one more thing, because if we go back to our form here and click this button, we'll see that it doesn't actually pull anything up. That's because what we've written in here is only affecting the user form. However, we need the user form to pop up. So we need to write just a simple macro that we can assign to that button. So we open up a module, and it's actually very simple. All we have to do is call on the user form and say .show. And that's the macro that we need to assign to the button. To do that, we can right-click the button, hit Assign Macro, and then hit the Show User Form. Now that we've done that, we can hit the button, and the user form pops up. With the user form, we can now add the customer information. This customer, let's say his name is Bob, and his last name is Franklin. He lives on 123 Main. He lives in wherever, New York. Zip code 12345. Phone number 123456790. Email coolguy@coolguy.com. And we hit add to list, close it, and down here at the bottom, we see our Bob Franklin, who lives on 123 Main in wherever, New York, is added to our customer list. Likewise, let's say that we're putting this information in for Bob, but we somehow miss his last name. And we just put in all the other information, phone number, email. When we hit add to list, we get this notification saying, please fill in all the required fields. And we can go back. I don't want to have to erase all of this. We hit reset, and then we can go back and put in Bob Franklin. And this has been the solution to the user form fun TechHub.training challenge. Thanks for coming.